Yeah, I mean, like we talked about all along, like the strike zone awareness has been there. It was good to see him barrel up some balls and be rewarded for it. So he's been working his butt off with Dustin and I hitting group, so it was good to see that today. He looked good. I mean, with all our guys, you want to keep them getting better with each outing. Stuff's crisper. But to me, like the fastball was a little better than before. Just like all these guys, like they get their live BPs underneath them as they get built up, get their capacity going. So that's always the case with Albert today. Like I said before, I wasn't here last season. And what Heston's showing right now is what he's capable of. His bat quality is right where it needs to be, and like his setup change is simple for him and repeatable, and it gets him on. He can adjust to a lot of different pitches. That's what we're seeing right now.
That is Craig Albernaz, Orioles manager. Alby, as he is referred to, talking about Heston Kjerstad. Let's go back into the history machine. Second pick of the draft, 2020. Overall out of Arkansas. Diagnosed with myocarditis right after that. This was in the height of COVID. So that set him back a good year and a half. Then rips up his hamstring, tracking a fly ball down in Sarasota. That sets him back. So as a college drafted guy, he's a little bit older. Like Gunnar, for instance, drafted out of high school. Heston coming out of college. I mean, Heston is 27 years old as we sit here today. But rehabilitated himself, got healthy, and was putting up slow pitch softball numbers down on the farm. And in 2023, had impressed the Orioles brass enough that he was on the playoff roster against Texas and did the same in 2024. Now, 2024 is also the day or the year he took the fastball off the melon against the Yankees in the rain, where Brandon Hyde wanted to fight the whole Yankee bench because some a-hole over there with the Yankees was kind of laughing at the fact that Heston Kjerstad was eating dirt on that Friday night. But he made the postseason roster. And then last year, for whatever reason, and he was sent back to the minors after a slow start. There was an ailment which pretty much shut him down at the middle of the season. And it was almost forgotten. And every time the Oriole brass was asked about Heston Kjerstad, I don't want to get into it. Couldn't get into it.
Yep.
If he's like, he broke his foot, it was that direct. Very cagey in describing it, because it was probably something maybe not baseball related. I don't want to speculate. But comes into spring training, 100% healthy, as both Mike Elias and Craig Albernaz said. And what we're seeing right now from Heston Kjerstad, who had 3 hits last night or yesterday afternoon against Boston. I mean, he's got his OPS is like 12. He's raking. Unfortunately for him, it's good news and bad news. Good news is you're reestablishing yourself as a guy. Mm-hmm. The bad news is, Nolan get in here too, if everyone stays healthy, there's no room on the roster for him to perform. Because as we've discussed 1,000 times, Kowser's your center fielder, Ward's your left fielder, Beavers and Muscles of being right, and Tavares is probably your platoon, can play all 3 outfield spots and at a high level defensively. So for guys like Bradfield and Heston Kjerstad and 3 for 3 with 3 homers, Vance Honeycutt, there's nothing happening here. But the good news is, and we'll talk to Steve Molesky later in the show, because I was like, Kjerstad kind of sucks. I was in that ballpark, no pun intended. Mm-hmm. So I don't see it. I don't see any sort of positivity here, and there's no trade value, so you can't even flip in for a starting pitcher or utility, whatever your needs may be, bullpen arm, et cetera, et cetera. There's nothing there. But for everything that he's overcome, and to come into spring training just fresh and healthy and revitalized, and to have him hit the ball as hard as he's hitting it, I think this is awesome. Now, what the end game for him will be, I don't know. Again, barring injuries here in the final few weeks of spring training. I don't see him coming north with the Orioles. But now we're looking at Heston Kjerstad as a guy. Like, I don't think he's all that great defensively. I don't think that's ever going to change. But there's an impact bat somewhere. So, Nolan, what do you think of Heston Kjerstad? At least, and granted, he could go 0 for 20 over the next 2 weeks down in Florida. But if a feel-good story in the first 2 weeks of spring training games, he would have to certainly qualify, if not the feel-good story, or near the top of the list.
Yeah, and you know what I really like is that it's not like he's just getting lucky, where he's running into one every once in a while, power-wise, home run-wise, and still striking out a ton. No, I mean, his swing selection, everything across the board just looks different out of him. And that's why I'm willing to put a little more stock into it. There's nothing about this seems like dumb luck. Just one strikeout so far for him in spring training. Now, maybe you'd like a couple more walks, has just one of those. But if he's going to hit to the level that he's hitting at, I don't need him to walk. And let's be honest here, if he's going to be a power guy, I'm looking for him to swing for the fences for the most part. Between him and Tyler O'Neill, this is kind of shaping up to be, let's make this the season of good problems to have. Okay. That's the attitude I would hope that the Orioles can luck themselves into this year after having so much bad injury luck the last 2 years. In some ways, you make your own luck, but I think we can all agree that they were extremely depleted, especially last year with over 70 guys on the roster to cover 162 games. So if O'Neill and Kjerstad are going to both be at their full ability, they're going to make it a tough decision on Craig Albernaz. I say I'm all for it.
Yeah, perfect world scenario if you could get some sort of science machine, and we do have modern technology, right, where you give either Bradfield, Kjerstad's offensive upside, or Kjerstad, Bradfield's speed and defense. You have your starting center fielder.
Oh, no doubt.
Then a guy's probably hitting third in your lineup, but that's not how it works. But Vinny, for a prospect that was highly regarded like Kjerstad to kind of fight himself out of the doldrums, and there have been many reasons for it, but, once you get to a certain age, and he just turned 27, by the way, on February 12th, it's put up or shut up time. Because once you get to 28, 29, and you're still kind of in this ballpark, then prospect status goes bye-bye. I don't think it may have already, but this is the last chance, I would think, for him to prove to either the Orioles or another team that this is a guy that's got an extreme upside here.
Yeah, and I think, watching him when he's at bat, he just looks extremely confident. When he's up there, I think he expects to get a hit. And I think it's kind of impressive because he's overcome a lot of adversity. And if your management, and like Alby said, Bob, all Alby knows is what he sees,
sure.
Which is great for Kjerstad because, what was the matter with this guy before? Kind of thing. So a lot of times is, being in the right place at the right time, too. Plus, what it does for Elias, my opinion, is you feel good about setting him down. So if a guy's going to be gone for, 10 games or something, no problem. We can just throw him in there. Like you said, though, defensively, like the line shot he had out there to the left, he doesn't see it as quick and natural.
Not as instinctive defensively as, say, a Bradfield is, who's a high-level defender. But we heard Albernaz say that he's making all the necessary adjustments at the plate. It's almost like he's expecting what's coming to him. And Dustin Lynn, the hitting coach, so they're working well. So that's a good story. Another good story, Sam Basallo. After we watch him go down, he played yesterday and he was roping a couple of hits, and he was doing some good things. Beavers had a couple of doubles. Chris Bassett made his spring debut, and, I'm not judging one way or another. He could have faced 6 batters, struck all 6 of them out. You look at it like, okay, that's great. But, he came in late to spring training, and he was ramping up. So it's all good in that area. The Orioles do come from behind to win the game after falling behind big, but it is what it is. So the Birds are off today. Then they play the Netherlands tomorrow, their national team, with Trevor Rogers on the hill. And then they're back on the spring training diamond against major league teams Wednesday against the Houston Astros. So we're percolating. Today's the second 24 days from opening day. How about that?
And Bob,
rapid thing.
Let me just say this. Watching Bradfield, I mean, that dude is like at a different speed than everybody else.
He was safe at second on the stolen base.
Oh, no question.
And maybe there might have been a slight misread on the ball that dropped in front of him in right field. But
the one he caught.
I mean, in the gap, a beautiful thing to see. So the Orioles are off today. Roster kind of sort of coming together. Nolan, are we at the space where they still need to bring someone in? We know Westburg's questionable. Certainly he's not starting opening day. Neither Jackson Holliday, but we assume that Jackson Holliday is going to be back maybe before May 1st. No idea when we're going to see Westburg.
Yeah, they were showing Holliday catching ground balls, and with the Hammett mode, probably the hitting is probably going to be the longest, because of the power and stuff that he's got to have with that. But he can field ground balls because it's his right hand, so he can field them. I don't know, maybe he can throw, but he's going to be doing stuff on the field much quicker than the bat.
What do you think?
Yeah, and I don't know if there's really a savior out there to go grab, free agent, whatever it is. I mean, this is kind of the group that you got. So, whether you're fully confident in that infield situation with Kobe Mayo and some of his defensive shortcomings, it's just kind of the guys you're working with. It's either him or a Tyro Estrada, right, where you're maybe giving up some offensive firepower, but going with more of a sure-handed thing defensively. It's a bit of a puzzle. You can move some pieces around. Who's going to play third and whatnot. If you want to go Mayo, then obviously he would be at third. But if you preferred Estrada, there could be a situation where Blaze could play third, Estrada plays second. So a lot of moving parts here, but one of the other good parts about Gunnar going to the WBC is that it created a vacancy at shortstop as well. So even more moving parts, guys, to get an opportunity here.